everyone. We're continuing our limud of Sefer Yirmiyahu. We're up to Perek Lamed Zayin, and although we had just been talking about various nevuos and maisim that happened in the reign of Yehoyakim, we're now moving forward into the reign of Tzidkiyahu, who was also a son of the righteous King Yoshio. Remember, at this point in time, Eretz Yisrael, Bavel has already conquered Malchus Yehuda. And the first wave of the Golim, 11 years before the Churban, already took place, the Charesh and the Masker, the Talmidei Chachamim. And Tzidkiyahu is trying to wage a war against Bavel to regain independence. Yirmiyahu warns him not to do so, and he ignores Yirmiyahu's words. So, Perek Lamed Zayin begins, Vayimlach Melech Tzidkiyahu ben Yoshio. Tzidkiyahu, the son of the righteous Yoshio, becomes Melech. Tachas Konyahu ben Yehoyakim, asher himlech Nebuchat Retzar Melech Bavel b'Eretz Yehuda. Remember, Yehoyakim died after 11 years. His son, Yehoyachin, also called Yechanya or Kinayahu, was made king, but was deposed by Nebuchadrezzar and Nebuchadnezzar, alternative pronunciations, only 3 months into his reign, and that is when we had the exile of the Charash and the Masker 11 years before the Churban. And now it's Tzidkiyahu, who is Yehoyachin's uncle and Yehoyakim's brother, son of Yoshio, now becomes king. And we are told in Pasuk Beis that although Tzidkiyahu was personally a righteous person, he did not obey the nevuos of Yirmiyahu, because Tzidkiyahu is going to wage war to overthrow, he thinks, the Babylonians, even though Yirmiyahu said not to do it. V'loi shamahu v'yavadav v'yama'aretz el divrei Hashem. Tzidkiyahu, his servants, and the general population were not responsive to the words of Hashem, asher diber biyad Yirmiyahu hanavi, that he spoke through Yirmiyahu, even though, once again, on a personal level, Tzidkiyahu was God-fearing, but for whatever reason, maybe he feared his other advisors, he feared the wrath of the people, he felt he had to try to fight Bavel. But we're going to see, Vayishlach HaMelech Tzidkiyahu es Yehuchal ben Shelemiah v'es Zefanyahu ben Maaseiah HaKayin. He sent 2 of his officers to Yirmiyahu Hanavi, who at this point is not in prison, Lamar, Hispalil noah bi'adeinu el Hashem aleikeinu. You're a Navi, you're a tzaddik. Daven to Hashem that we should be successful. Now, parenthetically, we're given a note, Yirmiyahu ba v'yaseh b'toch ha'am. At this stage in his life, Yirmiyahu was a free man. He could walk around freely in the population. V'loi nasnu oso beis hakalul. At this particular stage, Yirmiyahu was not yet in prison. And there was another bit of news that many people looked at positively. V'chel paro yatsa miMitzrayim. That on one hand, we have the Babylonians, because Tzidkiyahu's aggressive war to throw off Malchus Bavel, Bavel is attacking Yerushalayim. But in the middle of their attacking Yerushalayim, there's a rebellion in Egypt. The Egyptians want to overthrow him. So Nebuchadnezzar diverts his troops away from Yerushalayim to engage with milchamas with Egypt. So that seems like a very big relief. The enemy that is besieging you leaves. Chel paro yatsa miMitzrayim v'yishmu akastem atzarim al Yerushalayim es shemam v'yalam al Yerushalayim. Baruch Hashem, the enemy is leaving us. Vayehi Devar Hashem el Yirmiyahu Hanavi Lamar. But this is the prophecy that Yirmiyahu gets. Kayamar Hashem Elokei Yisrael, Kaysaimro Melech Yehuda Shalech Eschem Elai L'Darsheni. So shall you say to the king of Yehuda Tzidkiyahu that is sending you messengers. Meaning Yirmiyahu is saying to the messengers, so shall you tell the king that is sending you to me. Hine. Chel Parai Hayetzi Lechem Li'ezra. You think the armies of Parai that are coming to attack the Babylonians are going to help you. They're not going to help you. This is going to be temporary. They're going to try to start up, and then they'll see they're not successful. They will return to Mitzrayim. They're not going to come and give you reinforcements. Shav li'artzei Mitzrayim. V'shavu ha'kastem nilchamu al Yerzaz. And the Kastem, the Babylonians, will come back. Ulachadua, and they will eventually conquer it. V'sarfu v'eish, and they will burn it with fire, including the Mikdash. And Kayamar Hashem, and so says Hashem, Al tashiyu nafsheseichechem lemor. Do not entice yourself to believe the fantasy of Haloch Yelchu mi'aleinu HaKasdim, that the Kasdim have left us. Ki lo yelechu. The Kasdim haven't left. They temporarily went to fight the Egyptians, but the Egyptians will give up the fight, and the Kasdim will come back. Ki im hikisem kol chel Kasdim enochamim mitchem v'nisharu bam anoshim medukarim. Because this is Hashem's Gezerah. You can't fight it. Even if you manage to kill every Babylonian soldier and the only people that are left are people who are crippled and injured, even they can defeat you. Because if it's my will, Hashem says, that you be defeated, you can be defeated by crippled and weak people as well. Ish bi'alo yakumu. People will get out of their tent. They're lying in bed so injured. And they will burn Yerushalayim. And indeed, even though the armies of the Babylonians left Yerushalayim because of the threat of Paro's armies, they did come back. And now we're going to be told the story of how Yirmiyahu and why he was imprisoned by Tzidkiyahu. Yirmiyahu right now is a free man. He's not under any custody. Vayetze Yirmiyahu Yerushalayim Melechas Eretz Binyamin. He left Yerushalayim to go to his ancestral home. Now, he was a Kohen, but one of the city of Kohen that he lived in was Anasos, and Anasos is Eretz Binyamin, the territory of Binyamin. L'chalik misham betocha, to simply intermingle with people, regular life. Vayihu b'shar Binyamin. When he enters the gates of the Binyaminite territory, v'sham Baal Pekidot, there was, Baal Pekidot basically means the officer that was in charge of governance of that area, and his name was, a lot of different names, Yirmiyahu ben Shelemiah ben Hananiah, and he thought Yirmiyahu was a security risk, because Yirmiyahu's message is to surrender to the Babylonians. So this fellow, Yirmiyahu, says, you're a traitor. Maybe you're a spy. Ela kastim atanofel. You are surrendering to the Babylonians. You're trying to undermine our military effort. Vayomer Yirmiyahu says, Sheker, that is a false accusation. Eineni neifel ala kastim. I am not trying to surrender anything. I'm giving you a message from Hashem, but I'm not actively collaborating with the Babylonians. V'lo shama elav. Yiriah, the Sar HaPakudais, did not listen to Yirmiyahu. V'yaviver al and he brought him to the officers of Binyamin. V'yiktefu asar mal Yirmiyahu, and they were very angry at him. V'hiku oso, and they beat him up. Police brutality. V'nosnu oso beis he'asur, and they put him in a prison Beis Yahona San HaSofer, kind of a locked room in the house of Yaina son the Sofer, ki oisei asu lebeis keller. They turned it into a prison cell. And what happened was, ki va yirmiyahu el beis habor. Yirmiyahu was thrown into a pit, meaning it had been a well and then it was emptied out. It became a pit. V'yalachaniyos, in a storage area in the house. Vayeshev sham Yirmiyahu yamim rabim. And for many, many days, we don't know how long exactly, he was languishing. Not just in a prison cell, he was languishing in a pit. They would throw him food like an animal. However, Vayishlach hamelech Tzidkiyahu v'yikocheyu. But Tzidkiyahu wanted to hear the prophet's message. So Tzidkiyahu liberated him from the pit. Vayishaleyu hamelech bebeso b'seisur. But they had a private meeting, because again, you have to understand, Tzidkiyahu is very torn. He's personally a righteous person. He wants to hear what Yirmiyahu's message is. But it has to be secret. Because if people see that Tzidkiyahu is talking to Yirmiyahu, they're going to think that Tzidkiyahu is going to surrender to the Babylonians. And from their false perspective, that is being a traitor. That is surrendering Eretz Yisrael to the Goyim. And who knows what they might do? They might rebel against Tzidkiyahu and kill him. So Tzidkiyahu wants to know what the Navi says. But it's a secret meeting. Vayomer. And Tzidkiyahu says secretly, although I don't know how secret it could be if he got Yirmiyahu out of prison, but those things could be done in the middle of the night. Vayomer. Hayesh davar me'es Hashem. Do you have a message from Hashem? Vayomer Yirmiyahu, yesh. I have a message. Very short message. Vayomer, biyad melech Babel tinasen. You will be delivered into the hands of the Babylonian king. You will not be victorious. And then Yirmiyahu says, Vayomer Yirmiyahu melech Tzidkiyahu, ma chatasi lecha v'lavadecha lamazeh. What sin have I committed to you and to the nation? Ki nasatem oisi el beis hakela, that I'm thrown into a pit and imprisoned. What about the false prophets that kept on telling you Bavel will never conquer this land, and they've done so? Why aren't those prophets in prison? Because all that they said never came to pass. V'ata shemana adayni hamelech. Please, he's begging for his own personal safety. My master the king. Tipal na techinasi lefanecha. Let my supplication fall before you. V'al tishiveni beis yonasan as-sefer. Do not return me to that awful place. V'lo yamas sham, because I will die. Vayitzaveh hamelech Tzidkiyahu. V'yavkidu es Yirmiyahu b'chatzer hamatorah. So it's very, very interesting. You see what's going on here. Tzidkiyahu, who believes Yirmiyahu is a Navi Emes, takes him out of the awful conditions of the pit, but he can't just set him free, because once again, Tzidkiyahu is a tortured person. He's afraid of what people are going to think. So he puts him in a larger prison, Chatzer Matara, a courtyard of imprisonment, kind of like, the way they describe federal prisons a little bit, cable TV, volleyball, whatever it was. It was a much more humane condition. So Yirmiyahu is imprisoned, and we've mentioned this before. This is called the Chatzer Matara. V'nasan la'ikikar lachem l'yayim michutz ha'ifim. And Yirmiyahu was given a loaf of bread every day from the bakers. And that continued. Yirmiyahu actually remained in the Chatzer HaMatara till the Chorban Beis HaMikdash. So he remained there for a number of years. can't really say how many years here because Tzidkiyahu ruled for 11 years, but we are not told what year of Tzidkiyahu's reign this conversation occurred, so I can't tell you how many of those 11 years Yirmiyahu spent in the Chatra Matara, but he continued to be fed until right before the Churban there literally was no bread in the city. So Yirmiyahu once again had to suffer the famine along with everyone else. But as long as there was bread, Tzidkiyahu provided Yirmiyahu with that bread.